in agreement. Would that be, everyone happy with that? Can we just agree that?
Yeah.
Okay, can you write that down? So to work with elected members and to reach out to the trade unions. And I think, yes, that is a task we can all go away with today and to carry on. The general meetings, in this section, let's get rid of the word general, maybe, can I say, and perhaps the meetings we might aim to meet with elected people, to meet with organisations that have similar aims that we can work with, to meet with trade unions, ETUC as well, but also in our own countries. So perhaps meeting together like this, we might need to do it, but sometimes we might actually just go and meet each other at a massive demonstration, like in Paris next year. And sometimes we might be able to have a meeting in Brussels, where if we can, we'll send perhaps one delegate at least from our organisations to a meeting like that. Or perhaps we'll even have a team of only 4 people who might, on behalf of us all, go to have a meeting maybe in Europe. So the meetings will be, we aim to have meetings with elected, you say EMPs, we say MEPs, and other elected bodies in our national government and our local government, and to have meetings with trade unions, and to meet together when necessary. Would that be okay? All right, and Francois was first, and then I'll come back again.
No, after you.
I think that suggestion is misconceived. The one reality that this network has is these meetings. We may aspire to lots of other things, but this is the fundamental reality at the moment. This is where we are. And we need to decide, is this the right mode of the network as a whole operating? And if so, roughly how often? That is a completely different question from might we meet with members of the European Parliament. It is a completely different question from might we arrange meetings with trade unions. Of course we might do those things. But the fundamental thing that this network needs to do is to decide what it is, and what it is at the moment is meetings such as this. So if we want to add in things about other things we might do, that's fine. But this is a key practical point about how we operate as it stands.
Ouais, en fait, tout simplement, oui, il faut se rencontrer. Donc, la fréquence à peu près celle qui est. Mais se rencontrer pourquoi? Là, c'est normal, on a eu une série de réunions collectives puisqu'on crée quelque chose, mais c'était un peu ce qu'on disait hier au dîner entre plusieurs camarades. Et ce qui serait bien, c'est se rencontrer. Il faut une réunion globale, générale, mais aussi peut-être couplée à chaque fois à une action. Par exemple, aujourd'hui, nous aurions pu faire, et il faut d'abord s'organiser, on est bien d'accord, mais on aurait pu faire cette fameuse manifestation au pied du siège de Total, puisque c'est celui que vous vouliez pointer du doigt, ou de Areva à Londres, et on aurait pris une photo. On a une série d'élus, ne serait-ce que dans la salle, on a des conseillers régionaux, il y a même un conseiller consulaire. Mais donc se réunir, mais aussi pour agir. Après, sur la méthodologie, je ne pense pas qu'il faut en permanence s'écouter les uns les autres. Il faut aussi, c'est ça un peu l'idée. C'est pour ça qu'hier, il y avait cette activiste roumaine aussi, c'est de se rafraîchir, se nourrir, sinon une coquille vide. Donc il faut évidemment qu'il y ait aussi une part de contenu ou une action avec des élus. Voilà. C'est tout simple. Donc moi je pense qu'on peut garder la fréquence 2 ou 4 fois, mais qu'à chaque fois il faut se poser la question. Par exemple, si Initiative Attaque Catalogne confirme qu'elle voudrait accueillir le prochain meeting à Barcelone, allons à Barcelone, mais ne passons pas 2 jours enfermés dans une salle. Je sais pas, faisons quelque chose aussi. Il y a la question de la plateforme pétrolière, je ne me rappelle plus comment elle s'appelle, Louis. Je ne sais pas, il peut y avoir aussi avec Podemos, on peut inventer des formes. Surtout qu'en Espagne, on approchera de période électorale, si je ne me trompe pas. voilà. On peut répondre aussi à la demande du parti organisateur qui peut avoir. Donc on peut garder, s'il y a accord, on s'en avance, la fréquence de 2 à 4 par an, mais il ne faut pas se rencontrer pour se rencontrer.
Right, okay. So I think that the meetings bit could carry on into the aims, that the aims could have the inclusion of, because we want to have a lobbying force as well as meeting with elected members and trade unions, that we will meet together at least twice a year, but we want to combine that with actions wherever possible. Can we just say at least twice a year for this? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And can we go on to...
Were you suggesting bundling 3 into 2, or did I mishear you?
Well, the aim... Well, I just think this is... Yeah, I think that's fine. It's in the aims, but we'll be meeting to do things, really. So we're not just meeting in order to talk to each other. You know, it'll be part of our aims to get something done. You know? So...
Could you answer the question, please? Were you suggesting...
Yes, I am suggesting to put it in under 2 and to get rid of 3.
That's daft, but...
Yeah, I'm
Steve.
getting a bit confused. I mean, we've already got a section in the end that says the aim is to organise common political actions with the coordinated office of the joint.
Yeah, okay then.
One presumes you have to have some meeting to actually...
Well, okay, let's
So-
change that sentence to say
No,
aim to meet twice a year, or just leave it as it
Just
open.
leave it, it's fine.
Open. We know twice a year would be what we'd aim for at least. Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
The other thing is,
Okay.
I mean, we're an international network.
Yeah.
But strikes me, you know, international consists of national, and it might be handy to include something about where countries, there's several organisations, for example, in Britain, it might be handy to encourage them to meet on occasion where it's likely to be easier to do, isn't it, if they're all in the same country, so have meetups.
Organise political actions where the order are physically joined together or with groups in our own country.
Well, I think we should do that.
But do you want to write it in? You want to write it in or not? Or do we just know what we're doing? Will we carry on what we're doing anyway, shall we? Do you want it written in, or are you happy with this as it is?
Well, I'm just trying to think, you know, I think it's worth pursuing. I mean, we've green left and we're working together.
We're
we
doing-
don't have any form of proper meeting, do we? We're just
Well, we can have one, but I mean, doing it to involve...
Yeah. Was there somebody else with a hand up there? Right.
Yeah, I share my neighbor's opinion that even if we stay at this stage of development of our relationship and we stick to talk to each other, I feel privileged to talk to you and to listen to you, because I think that we don't have enough talks with each other. And that's the reason why we like this common political project. So I think that we have to keep talking to each other until we have this project. We stay as a kind of secret organization because nobody knows about our meetings. But I think it's okay with me because we haven't anything to go commonly to the public opinion. Okay? So perhaps, because I don't know what was the idea, the initiator of this venture was the Parti de Gauche, and I would give them this floor to explain what was the idea in the beginning and whether it is developing in the right direction in their opinion. But I would be satisfied if we stay at this way and keep meeting. I would like to invite you to Warsaw, perhaps because in countries like Poland, the very existence of all these movements and organizations is completely unknown. So there is something to tell to Polish public opinion, and I assure you that if you come, it will be broadcasted. It will be broadcasted. So we won't stay secret, at least at the national level. That's what I'm putting on the floor. If we go for a common project, I think that we should intensify our work, and I don't believe we can just keep meeting every month, but we have to establish some kind of working force of intensifying the intellectual and political effort.
Well, thank you very much for your remarks. I think we have started, we have agreed our Green Energy for All campaign. Parti de Gauche adopted eco-socialism as the driving political force for their party. I was a guest because I've been in a group declared as an eco-socialist for 7 years already. So I was a guest and very happy to go to their conference back in Bordeaux. Was that only last year or the year before?
Yes.
Only? Fun.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we've done such a lot since then. So although I appreciate that these meetings can help, especially in countries where the green movement is just beginning to perhaps to mix with the red, with the left, we do already want to put action. We are a European eco-socialist action network. We need to have actions, but we can meet and plan actions around at the same time. And I think we are ready for that next step, and we are ready for the public. Right, if we can just, on the decisions for, we've already had comments. I think, can we just say we will work by consensus, and within that, what it is if there are groups that cannot agree with something, then they may not do something. But all our actions and work will be based on our declaration, which we are hoping to, in a moment I'm hoping, we will go through that, and that is the main work of this weekend, to agree that. And if everything is planned around that, we have already agreed, so if one small group says, well actually on this one I'm not taking part, fair enough, we won't force anyone. So if we just say decisions will be made by consensus, but, you know, or we leave that out altogether. Any comments on 4?
Now, one of the weaknesses of the network so far is that nobody knows how any decisions are made. They just...
About what?
May I speak? Thank you.
Just a clarification.
Nobody knows how any decisions are made. So nobody really knows how we agree the date of the technical secretariat meeting. Nobody knows. Why socialist resistance are invited as observers and not members. Nobody knows. I say that because I regard it as important that we do understand how we make decisions. And that includes how we make decisions at meetings like this. Now, just a practical example. At the last meeting, perhaps at this one, I don't know, we had 1 or 2 members who were very keen that their country should stop burning coal to produce energy, and therefore they wanted to have nuclear. Not because they liked nuclear, but they thought on balance that was the right policy. Now, if we make decisions by consensus, that means that everyone agrees on what our policy is. Does that mean that we're going to be held hostage on an issue like that where in fact almost everybody, perhaps everyone in this room today, agrees that we are against nuclear power? I think we need to recognise that that kind of situation may arise, and therefore we shouldn't simply say we'll make decisions by consensus. We should say normally we'll operate by consensus, and I would hope that that will always work. But I think we need to know what happens if it doesn't work.
Okay, just a brief comment from me, and please do consider coming in on this. This group of eco-socialists, the network is people who do not support nuclear power, so there is no question of that. So people can decide to come along as observers and not be full members and do what they can, but they wouldn't be part of that full body unless that's part, they adopt that declaration
What does it
themselves.
say
Anybody
that
else?
anyway?
Stephen?
Yeah, and I mean,
François.
we have a,
Oh,
we,
sorry, can I just, do you mind saying, François?
I mean, we've got a resources group in Wigan, and one of the few things that we have in our rules
Yeah.
is that we make all decisions by consensus. However, where that is not possible, we have majority rule apply there. Generally speaking, we do achieve everything by consensus. However, there's got to be situations where there might be one or two people who might propose something that nobody else agrees with, and we decide not to do it, you know. And we have to have a vote on it after a debate, and I don't personally see a problem with that at all. We wouldn't have put it in our own rules in the first place. Just fine.
François?
Oui, moi je comprends pas bien les questions que tu poses parce que je constate comment on fonctionne. Bon, ça fait un peu moins d'un an, mais les décisions sont prises par l'engagement de celles et ceux qui font quelque chose. Par exemple, aujourd'hui, c'est Romaine qui préside. Pourquoi est-ce que c'est Romaine qui préside? On n'en a pas voté, on ne l'a pas élu. Ben, elle préside parce que Green Left organise la réunion aujourd'hui à Londres. C'est la décision que nous avons prise la dernière fois. Si nous décidons que la prochaine fois ça aura lieu à Barcelone, ce sera quelqu'un de ICUV qui présidera. Et on trouvera tout ça légitime. Je pense que c'est la bonne manière de faire. Et ça ne retire pas, par exemple, là nous avons une discussion, Mike, sur un texte que tu as écrit. Si personne ne t'a désigné, mandaté, demandé de le faire, mais tu as pris l'initiative de l'écrire, et ce qui est une bonne chose. Et c'est comme ça que le réseau va avancer, par les initiatives de ses membres. Il faut qu'on se retire de la tête les vieux schémas des organisations où il faut faire des rapports de force pour obtenir que la direction accepte de faire telle ou telle chose. Il n'y a pas de direction, il n'y a pas d'appareil. C'est nous qui, par notre action, produisons l'activité du réseau. Donc je pense que c'est... voilà comment est-ce que les décisions sont prises et jusqu'à présent, c'est comme ça que ça a marché, que ça a fonctionné. Bon. Enfin, moi je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, je suis pour en rester au consensus. S'il y a des points qui sont des points politiques, cruciaux, clés, qui sont des conditions de l'appartenance au réseau, on les met dans la déclaration de principe. D'ailleurs, nous pouvons peut-être dire, j'espère qu'on va enfin en parler, nous pourrons peut-être dire que c'est une version provisoire. On pourra aussi rajouter, si on s'aperçoit qu'on a oublié des choses, rajouter des points dans la déclaration de principe. Et pour être membre du réseau, il faut être en accord avec la déclaration de principe. Je crois me souvenir, mais je n'ai pas vu la dernière version, en tout cas que dans la version précédente, il y avait le refus de l'énergie nucléaire. On en a fait un des points de conditions pour appartenir au réseau éco-socialiste. S'il y a d'autres conditions, il faut les rajouter. Mais toi-même, tu as rédigé un certain nombre de points de la déclaration de principe. Et donc, tous ceux qui sont en accord avec la déclaration de principe peuvent être membres du réseau. Moi, je serais pour appliquer cette règle et ensuite fonctionner effectivement au consensus. Ce qui nous oblige à prendre du temps, et là ça va dans le sens de ce que disait Piotr, ça nous oblige à prendre du temps pour parler, pour discuter, pour se comprendre et pour se convaincre. Et on n'est pas dans des logiques de majorité, de minorité qui font tellement de mal à la vie interne des organisations, même si je comprends que parfois ce soit dans certaines organisations nécessaire.
Thank you. Do you want to answer and then I'll bring in Stephen again?
Non, juste répondre à Mike. C'est une espèce de suspicion là parfois. La date de Londres, j'en sais rien. Socialiste résistant, des gens qui sont observeurs, c'est le parti. Moi je sais pas qui a invité.
C'est eux-mêmes qui l'ont décidé.
Mais c'est celui qui est
Because it was my
observateur.
birthday.
Observateur en français on dit, c'est lui qui l'a choisi, c'est qu'il veut venir et observer parce qu'il ne veut pas que. Donc je ne sais pas si c'est ça qu'il faudrait leur donner la parole. En tout cas, depuis le secrétariat technique, personne n'a été invité sous instruction ou sous un autre. Alors ensuite, sur la question du parti communiste de même Moravie que nous avions invité, qui est donc, oui, on tâtonne, on invite, on a invité, il y a un énorme travail qui est fait, mené avec Tatiana notamment, donc dans toute l'Europe, on a cherché des forces. Un travail énorme. Par exemple, pour que Piotr revienne, il faut l'appeler jusqu'à 24 heures avant et enfin le trouver. Donc il faut aussi que, quand je disais que chaque organisation doit déterminer un référent, ça facilitera le travail, d'accord. Donc, Ce parti, c'est un parti qui est en mutation. Il a une jeune génération. Je ne sais pas si vous avez suivi les élections européennes. La tête de liste, la députée européenne qui s'appelle Katarina Konečná, elle est très intéressée par les thématiques éco-socialistes. Je ne crois pas que ce soit une défenseur du nucléaire, mais manifestement, en interne, ils n'ont pas un discours très clair encore sur la question. Donc évidemment, je crois que là, par consensus, on est tous d'accord sur le fait qu'un parti qui défend l'énergie nucléaire ne peut pas faire partie du réseau. D'ailleurs, ils ne sont pas venus aujourd'hui. Voilà. Juste non, comme ça, tu comprends un peu.
Did you want to come in? Stephen? Did you want to come in on that?
Well, I'm, you know,
Oui, souvent.
don't think it was me, I didn't put me
Okay, let me be straightforward. For us, this network has a huge potential, but as an action network. Otherwise, it would have no sense. I mean, I cannot conceive that if we, by consensus, agreed on a campaign or an action that obviously have to be adapted and adopted by each member and translated into each country, it has no sense that something has to be voted related to one complete campaign. So I mean, what I understand is that actions and campaigns, they should be adopted by consensus. Voting by majorities and minorities in actions and campaigns, for me, it has no sense. Otherwise, let me be direct in the fears that I have with these lines or with each member organization having one vote. For me, the main problem for this network is that it has to be enlarged still, so to include a lot of members that are in observatory status, just looking at us with friendly, and also bigger organizations that may have some problems if this network goes into something very organized, very structured as another international political organization. That would fear away or frighten most of the organizations that would like that they feel comfortable in this network. I'm thinking of Syriza as a big organization, but also other organizations in our own country, in Spain, that it would mark too strict rules and too strict norms to participate. They would just go away to this network. And also it's implicit that bigger organizations already existing in this network maybe would feel uncomfortable if we have to vote everything one organization, regardless of the size and the importance, one vote. So just by consensus it would be better.
Okay, I'm very conscious that I really want to get on to our main declaration document in a moment. So I'm just thinking, so as far as decisions, we either leave it in to say we aim to work by consensus and just leave it at that, or we don't put it in at all. The languages, I don't think that's a problem. We want to, that's fine.
Can we stick to one point at a time, Chair?
I'll go through it my own style of chairing.
Yes.
6, communication, which it goes down very well in many organisations. 6, communication. That seems fine. Are we happy about that? No data protection problems on there, or we can. But I mean, even if we have a blog thing where we all put up our contact details, we can all communicate, or we can communicate by uploading things. No problems there.
I agree.
Fine. Executive. Oh, anyone want to say something about that?
Chair, could we not decide what we're doing about 4 before we move on? That was how you announced the meeting was going to be run. It's ridiculous to go on to 7 if we haven't decided 4.
Right.
Can I make-
As
can I
somebody
make a
said,
helpful suggestion?
nobody invited this document. Everybody could have brought a document with them, and we would be here for a month. Yes.
Are we at point 4?
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. I think it's the way it's written here. Yes. The voting methodology, when it has to appear, we do it, as we will. But if we declare that we got to vote, I think we have that risk of making ourselves much more than we are, and putting barriers between us and those that have to join and integrate or participate or get involved in the activities of the network. At the same time, I'm not afraid of voting anytime it's necessary, but let's avoid to say that as a principle of functioning, because it suggests that we are like a new international party in building. And this is extremely dangerous for the network at this stage.
So we either have a sentence that says we will work by consensus, or we aim to work by consensus, or we don't have that in there and we don't mention it at all because it's innate to it. So
Yeah, I don't see any trouble here because, as my colleague said, you can't compel anybody to take part in an action by voting. So this is very simple. We just say who is getting in, who is not getting in, and the same goes for declarations. If we vote some declaration of importance, we just sign it, and if some organization decides to opt out and not to sign it, it is unsigned by this organization. Since we are not a party, as you said, we can do that without having to vote. These are just declaration of will of those who agree to act or agree with a certain text. And we have to try to adopt texts which are much supported by the majority of us. If we will vote unanimously, we will become the Politburo of the Communist.
we will. All right. So.
Or the Central Committee.
So we just keep the first two sentences as they are.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed. Languages, everybody agreed. Number 5.5 for now, until we have more languages and we have to do more work. Happy with that for now? Lovely.
Yes.
Point 6.
Okay. I would like to
Yes, Stefan?
to explain also here that one of the aims or one of the way of dealing with communication is to avoid to be too much self-centered. So to have a communication where you make publicity, accelerate the flow of information circulating, but not only of ourselves, but ourselves as a separate organization or body or network, but of everything what is making sense and going in a good direction of social struggle, ecological struggle, and eco-social struggle. So not only publicity of the network, but to have a balance and also to make publicity of what is going on in the world outside ourselves as parties, network, organizations.
So that's covered by communicating in between meetings. You'd want us to understand it in that way, that we'll share reports and actions and ideas. So that's great. So we all agree point 6 then?
Well, I feel it's very important, to me anyway. I want to know what's going on, you know. For instance, a comrade in Spain explained the situation in our province, and I'm interested in what's happening in Catalonia. And, you know, because I'm not getting that news on the BBC. We're not getting that news on the mass media generally. So we do need something to rely on as a body of disparate groups, which is, I think, important. We don't want to end up a big political party as such. I mean, our group, which is affiliated to the Alliance Green Socialism, all the members refuse to become a political party because they hate the whole idea, you know, the whole sort of formality of it and the sort of imprisonment you give yourself. That being a, you know, it's not very democratic to be a democratic political party. It's the opposite, in fact. So it's like a kiss of death, if you like, to be an old-fashioned party, as we all know from Spain, France, and everywhere else. and that's why we're here. So this question of communicating between meetings, between
Yeah.
other things, is so important to people like
Yeah.
me. Except I'm computer illiterate, and so I find
We'll
it rather
have to train
difficult,
you.
to get online to get my information. But I do, to this point, where was it, in number 6? Communicating between
Yeah.
meetings, and yes, let's have a basic